everybody, my next guest began his professional acting career doing comedy bits on this show. It's all been uphill since, believe me. He's now co-starring as Lex Luthor in the hit WB show Smallville. Please welcome Michael Rosenbaum. Please. You know, I remember we were looking way back, because at the very beginning of this show, that's before my voice changed. Right. And it will change. We're in this mustard-colored set, and it's 1993. You were one of the first bits that we used to do on the show, where you'd play this kid. You and a woman would play kids from Amsterdam who were talking about how cool it is in Amsterdam.
Yeah, there were two kids that were misinformed about Amsterdam's liberal social policy.
Yeah, and I remember it always did well. And now things have really taken off.
It was my first gig, and it was my first paycheck. NBC Studios for like $40 or whatever it was. It paid the rent for a couple months.
That's about what I'm getting to. Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
I get the $40 ones. It's kind of ironic, because I wanted to find out like what you've been doing, and now that you're getting famous, you're doing these interviews. I'm reading a Rolling Stone interview, and in it, you know, you talk about how you once smoked pot with your grandmother. And I thought, and I remember reading this story, and you didn't go, and you, this is not a Lieberman crowd, trust me. Lieberman's watching right now. I must get out of this. But I'm curious, like, how did that come to be? This sounds like the coolest grandmother ever.
Oh, it was years ago, you know. I was just trying
years ago, back when
out.
Grannies were cool.
Yeah. And my brother and I, we went outside.
So this is, how old are you? Paint the picture.
I am, you know, 18, 22.
Right, right.
22 years old.
Right.
And I was outside with my brother, and we, you know, did the deed, and we went into the house, and my grandmother's sitting there with her glasses and her cigarettes. She had these long, more dark cigarettes with ash this long, about to go.
Right.
And she looked at me and she goes, "Give me it." I go, what are you talking about? She goes, "Give me this stuff right now." I go, "What do you want?" "I want to smoke some of that stuff."
Because she could smell?
She could smell it on us.
Right, right.
And I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "I want it. It doesn't work. The stuff doesn't work. Just give it to me." So finally, I go, "All right." Like, I passed her the J, and Grandma sat there, just practically swallowed the whole thing, and it was unbelievable. Like an hour later, I'm like, she's like scarfing down this pizza, this whole thing, and she's like, "This stuff doesn't work."
It doesn't work.
You know, we're just going nuts on it.
Not many people have that experience with their grandmother.
It was great, man. She was a beautiful woman. God rest her soul. You know, she was. Yeah.
So no, it's God rest her soul. Now let me ask you about the movies now.
Yeah.
You're not just doing Smallville.
No.
You're doing movies as well.
Yeah.
With big names.
Yeah.
You worked with Christopher Walken.
Love Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
I always heard how weird he was. You know, I've seen him on your show. Yeah, Christopher Walken's a genius.
Yeah. Were you intimidated? I mean, if I ever had to do, I can interview these people, but if I ever had to like be in a movie with them, I'd just kill myself, because they're iconic.
They're
figures.
huge.
Yeah.
I walked up to him on the set and I said, "I'm a huge fan of yours. I've been watching your movies forever. True Romance, you were awesome, and this and that." And he looked at me and he goes, "Yeah." And I looked at him, I said, "Hey, should I call you Chris or Mr. Walken?" And he goes, "I don't know. Call me Flash." And he walked away. And the next day,
great. That's cool.
The next day I came on that set and I go, "Should I call you?" I go, "Hey, Flash," because, you know, I thought I had it in with Christopher Walken. He goes, "What? Who are you?" And he walked away. I swear.
You know what's amazing about him is anything sounds funny coming from Christopher Walken.
Anything.
Anytime he comes on the show, he's not even, you know, telling a particularly funny anecdote. It's just hearing words come out of his mouth is funny. Cheerios?
Cheerios. Wow. It's funny if he's saying
That's how he says Cheerios?
Yeah. Conan. Everything he says is funny. He's...
What about you, Kevin Spacey? Have you worked with Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, the story is, I'll try to wrap it up quickly, is I was at the Grammys. Don't ask me how I got there, but we had backstage passes, and we had to dress
and you're back there with your pot-smoking granny.
No, she didn't come that time.
Okay,
But we were all, you know, I had to get dressed like a rock and roller, so I went to a vintage store, and I got this old vintage ugly suit with a vest, bell-bottoms, Elvis suit.
Right.
And I had this long hair, and I go to the Grammys, and I'm seeing all these famous people, these musicians. I go in the bathroom, and I'm urinating right next to Tony Bennett, right? And I go, "Tony Bennett, wow." And he looks at me and goes, "Wow." Because he's looking at my crazy suit, and I look at him and I go, "You like it?" He goes, "No." And then I see Kevin Spacey walking out, and I go, "Kevin Spacey, I'm a huge fan. I'm gonna do a movie with you, man. I'm gonna do a movie with you." And he looks at me and goes, "Well, hell, with a suit like that, why not?" And a year later, I did a movie with him, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And I said, hey, remember me? I met you at the Grammys, and I said, I'm going to do a movie with you. And he goes, oh, wait a minute. Were you wearing this crazy whacked-out Elvis suit?
He remembered.
He remembered, and I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I remember you. And it was just, it was so
It's a
cool.
good Kevin
That he
Spacey, yeah.
I've never really done a Kevin Spacey, but...
Now, for this role in Smallville, you're Lex Luthor, you had to shave your head for the role.
Yeah.
And that would be scary for a lot of actors. I mean, obviously, it's a great role, so you shave your head, but were you worried when you shaved your head that it was going to make the ladies not flock to you anymore?
Not that they were really there all the time anyway.
Right.
You know, I thought I was going to look like Rocky Dennis from that movie Mask.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Right.
Well, I didn't know what I was going to look like. I was really scared. But, you know, I love Rocky Dennis.
He was a fine, yeah, fine-looking guy, yeah.
No, but I was lucky when they shaved my head. They lathered me up, and I was shaking, you know, in the chair, and it looked all right. But then I was trying to get my buddy because he's got these islands of hair.
He's losing his hair.
He's losing his hair. He's got these islands, and I'm like, Dave, why don't you just shave your head? You know, because he's taking the one hair and bringing it over here. And I'm just like, just shave it. Girls like it. And we're at this stoplight, and we're cruising, you know, looking for women. And I look next to me at the stoplight, and there's these two girls in a Jeep. And I just said, watch this, Dave. It's not that bad. Check it out. And I rolled down the window, and I wasn't being cheesy or rude. I just said, hi. And it was like a nightmare. It was like a Wes Craven movie. She looked at me, looked at her friend, goes, I think that bald guy is saying hi to me. And I looked at Dave, and I said, Dave, I go, this never happens. She's awful.
Then
she's
they peel out, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm never shaving it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know.
Those women are wrong. It was terrible what they did. Well, Smallville airs Tuesday nights at 9 on the WB. Yeah. And check that show out. It's a very good show. And congratulations to you.
So
yeah,
much
well
for having
deserved.
me.
Very
You're
talented
great.
guy. Michael Rosenbaum, everybody. When we come back, Thievery Corporation. Stick around. Very good. Everybody, we are back. My next guests are known internationally for their production work in the world of trip-hop and acid jazz. They're here tonight with the title track from their album, The Richest Man in Babylon. Please welcome Thievery Corporation featuring Notch. All right, everybody, that's our show. Do want to thank my guest, Michael Rosenbaum. Great to have you back. Yeah, come on back. Smallville, everybody. Our thanks to Martin Lawrence for being here. He's a good man. Thanks to Thievery Corporation. And, of course, Max Weinberg and the Max Weinberg 7. Take you for the last call with Garth Daly.